Thanks, everyone. I didn't realise I already knew so many people in the room, so it's awesome. And don't forget, I've got a meetup next Wednesday evening, so if you're not registered yet, please have a look. So I was a bit worried about this presentation because I should have been last, because this could easily go on to like 2 o'clock in the morning, but I'll try and keep to the schedule. Now you've noticed I've got an IoT demo running, and I'll explain what this is when I get to the end. Keep an eye on that. So where are we at? Let me get my clicker. Next slide. So I've got a little demo, little video just to get going just to kind of set a scene and show what's going on with technology. So if we can just show this for a moment. What I want you to think about is, what's the New Zealand context for this?
That's controversial.
We're riding the back of an autonomous truck. It's about to take a left turn into oncoming traffic. There's their sensors.
Intersection clear. Left turn.
It's accelerating on its own, it's braking on its own, it's steering on its own. So trucking in the United States is like a $700 billion a year industry, and it employs 1.8 million people. Thus far, it's been pretty immune to the changes of globalization and technology, but that's about to change with technology like this.
Left turn.
That'll do. Thank you. So I want to set a scene of what is the future going to look like and give you some horizons of what technology can do a little bit. Now, I don't want to go into a big rant about supply chain and distribution and so on, but one of the aspects I think in New Zealand is we've got a conversation about trains going on. And I kind of think, look, forget about it. Trains is 18th century technology. What we should be looking at is what's the future of autonomous deliveries and how do we enable this kind of system. And New Zealand is a great place to experiment and innovate with this. You know, those aspects of, we've got a nice sized country, not too small, not too big, and not too big a population, so the disruption for putting in technology shouldn't be that great. So there's just some thoughts of mine on that. What is going on locally? So these are some of my kind of favorite ventures that I think worth having being aware of is what they're doing. So Halter, the autonomous cow. But bear in mind, what's the purpose of that is to give the farmer more time. I was listening recently, if you allow, there's another venture in New Zealand which is doing the autonomous milking of cows. So if you give the cow the choice of when does it want to get milked, the cow, and let's bear in mind it's a she, would prefer to get milked from 9 o'clock in the morning several times a day. Being made to get up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to be milked and then again in the evening doesn't suit their lifestyles. So there are systems around where you can give the choice to the cow as to when it's going to get milked, and they have a better lifestyle and better productivity when you give them that choice. Who's seen the Omeo vehicle? Who's ridden on it?
Oh dang.
So
he's flexing.
Do you know where they're based? Pakuranga. So the interesting comparison is autonomous truck one moment ago, and now we've got the autonomous vehicle, which is the last mile. So this is, from my instance, Panmure to Howick. How do I get home after this evening? So imagine if you've got this. Now the challenge they've got is, why can't you ride on this in Auckland? The technology works. It goes on the roads. That isn't the problem. It's the regulation and the laws which are holding it back. And that's the aspect which links Omeo to the autonomous truck. It's the legislation and the infrastructure that's around for them to be able to work on. And that's why I make the comparison with the trains. If we got a conversation about let's double track the train line from Auckland to Hamilton so that more people can commute to Hamilton to Auckland. Hey, how about we rip the entire train track up and turn it into an autonomous roadway for trucks and autonomous vehicles to work on? And imagine what the impact of that would be, so that instead of having we can only afford to do 1 train an hour, you can get on a shuttle like this or your Tesla car and it will drive you to Auckland when you want, Or if you're wanting to do your distribution delivery, instead of having to pay a truck driver $100,000 a year to drive a truck, you can say, hey, the truck can drive itself because it's only going Auckland to Hamilton. There's a thought. Levno is another farming application, and in this instance, they're monitoring the milk vat's temperature. Interesting story that came from that was Fonterra can use that data to schedule better when it's doing the milk deliveries, or the milk collections rather, and it can take vehicles off the road because it can schedule when it's doing the collections far more efficiently. Another data point. So robots are everywhere. You might have seen, this is New Zealand again. So the Rocos is another New Zealand venture playing around with Boston Dynamics, Spot the Dog. Boston Dynamics has just been bought by Hyundai, I believe. And then we've got Robotics Plus doing vineyard and horticultural management. And there's the thing, there's like robots for everything. This is an interesting one I just picked out, which is what we call a cobot for lifting. So it can be used in distribution centers for lifting up heavy packages. Another application is healthcare. One of the biggest injury causes in healthcare is lifting people. Well, you can use a little robot to help you lift and move people around. You're not taking away someone's job there, you're helping them do their job better. I'm going to move on. So another little video. So we've got these horizons of how do we distribute across the country. This is a bit unexpected, I think.
The box gives you full control over your deliveries like never before, at no additional costs. The box is much more than simple packaging. It has many revolutionary features to introduce you to a new way of receiving your online shopping orders. A billion cardboard boxes are produced each year. That means incredible damage to our environment. The box solves almost 100% of all packet delivery problems. The box improves every single step in the logistics chain by sending packets worldwide at a fraction of the cost. The box is reusable up to 1,000 times. If you want to send or return things with the box, just choose the contact's address in the app and push the send button.
That'll do, thank you.
Set your own parameters with every delivery and be assured that you will know everything that is happening to your shipment.
Yeah, just pause that one. That'll do. Thank you. So the interesting thing about that is they're taking, when you're making a delivery, the item here has got a smart e-ink display on it so that you can program the box with the scanning barcode information, the delivery information of where it's going to, without having to write or print a new label. It's got a GPS tracker connected over cellular, so you always know where it is. The person has got an app on their phone, they can scan this themselves so that you can say, well, where is it? They can then fold it back up into a flat pack to send it back to be reused, or they can put something else in it to send it back. So there's a real interesting innovation which is potentially going to radically change how does distribution work for that last mile when you order something, from, maybe not Trade Me, but, it could be something like, warehouse or, the online shopping. So there's another horizon of kind of like more local, more the last mile distribution, but could change the way the industry works. Yeah, thank you. I might come back to that one because it's interesting what's going on there. What's my next slide I put in? So I put this in just to kind of like re-emphasize this thing about autonomy. So this is kind of like where it started. So within the mine, instead of paying someone to drive a truck up and down the mine all day long, there's no one else in the mine, so the truck can drive itself. And it comments on that infrastructure issue, because when you get the autonomous truck, at present it's got to go on the same road that the rest of us are using, potentially cope with cyclists, pedestrians, your mother driving a car, my father driving a car who's 80 years old and he insists on driving not less than 80 miles an hour. So the infrastructure around roadways is actually really, really hard well, what if we had a roadway that these were the only vehicles on? One of my examples I use around this is logging trucks. So you could have the logging truck goes from the forest, down the logging road, onto an autonomous roadway, all the way down to the port or to the lumber yard. And we're making the roads safer then, and they can operate 24/7. So potentially a big impact. I was just thinking on the way in this afternoon, within Auckland, almost every election cycle, they talk about the east-west link across the Mount Wellington Highway. And he says, well, why don't we take the railway that's down there up and put in an autonomous roadway just for those trucks which are trying to get across the city? So take that to your local MP. But bear in mind, all of the vehicle manufacturers are going this way. You know, us as private citizens, we're kind of like the last to realize what's going on, but the manufacturers are all seeing that this is going on. It's not just electric vehicles, but it's autonomous vehicles, and it will radically change in the next sort of 10 to 15 years the way that we move about our cities. So I've been talking about the technology. One of the other things I was talking about my little demo here. Are you able to switch over that website? We'll see what's going on. Just do a refresh on it. I need to check. I've had my phone as a hotspot. Yeah, do a refresh. It's been busy. So this is my little demo around the side here. So I've got a little chip here, which is Bluetooth scanning. So have you refreshed that?
Yep.
Your picture is different from my picture. That's why I'm curious. Just try this. Click on that one.
It's fun.
Yeah. And then click on that one. See if it comes up what I expected. I'll pass around my phone, you can see what's going on. It's a bit odd. What have I got then? So that's been counting how many Bluetooth devices are in the room. So what this tells us, if you've got one piece of data, almost every one of us is producing this piece of data about, I've got a device which has got Bluetooth on it. So I can collect that information. So that can tell me how many people are in the room, how many people came into the room, how many people left the room, how many people came into the room together. So imagine that's not about people, but about things and in the distribution chain. So a $5, there we go, the data's coming in. They missed a piece of data there. I'm not quite sure, my phone's got a completely different picture on it. I know, no. Click that. There. Now refresh it. Oh, it's loading, there we go. So this is the last 10 minutes, it counting up how many devices. So every few seconds it's going to increase, and if I leave that, it'll just keep on going up. So there's a really cheap technology, really accessible technology. So Bluetooth chip, $5. So as well as how many people, we could be counting, whereas Alan mentioned before, what's the temperature of something? What's the battery voltage of something? So that's one horizon. We mentioned about, I got my Boat Secure venture. So something else I want to mention. So this piece on the end here is a satellite modem. So with this, I'm able to monitor where is a boat anywhere in the world. Is the bilge pump running? Has the boat sunk? Has the battery voltages failed? The electrics failed on the boat? So all the new generation of low Earth orbit satellites is connected to this. So I can send data from anywhere in the world over that, and very cheap. So the typical price of those things is $100 for the device and $5 a month to send data. So the price point is coming down because the technology is ubiquitous. It's low cost to manufacture the technology. It's low cost to operate the technology. And that, again, from these things we're trying to do with supply chains and logistics, that's an example. You want to know where is something, what's going on with that, If it's fresh produce, is the produce okay? So you've got all of these different technologies coming along which can radically disrupt the way the industry works now and do jobs better for the people that are important, that matter on that. So I think that was kind of like, I've got another half dozen slides and I could go on for another 2 or 3 hours on this, but I'll pause there.
Awesome.